An immovable object meets an unstoppable force. A tale as old as time. September is off to a blazing start this month, and we finally got the official unveiling of the GoPro Hero 11 Black and the DJI OSMO Action 3. And boy, do we have a lot to process. But which camera is truly worth our hard-earned cash in this time of economic recession? Full disclosure, this is not a hands-on review, first impressions kind of video of the action cameras. I am but a humble consumer, much like yourself, who is trying to take in all this information and make the most informed decision possible between the two action cameras. I'm gonna go over what I did like about the GoPro Hero 11 Black and what I don't like about it, as well as the DJI OSMO Action 3. Let's try to rationalize and make sense of all of this together. Oh, how glorious the YouTube embargo lift is and the shilling that comes with it. Xander here with another video. Welcome back to the channel. Let's jump into the golden child of action cameras, the GoPro Hero 11 Black. It was such a pleasant surprise to see that GoPro has installed a brand new sensor, an 8:7 aspect ratio sensor, which is pretty much a taller sensor, almost perfect square. And we get open gate functionality right off the bat with their 5.3K 30 frames per second and 4K 60 frames per second. That open gate functionality opens the door, punny. That open gate functionality allows us to crop in and punch in our footage, and allows us to grab vertical content for our TikToks, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, etc., as well as go 16:9 widescreen for our YouTube content. So that open gate functionality offers a lot of flexibility. Not gonna lie, huge fan of it. And they've installed a new 1/1.9 inch sensor. I believe it's 1/1.9 inch. Now, the other feature that everyone's going bananas over the GoPro Hero 11 Black is that we're now getting 10-bit color. To the uninitiated in videography, 8-bit pretty much is on a scale of reds, blues, greens systems. So 8-bit gives you 256 reds, 256 blues, 256 greens. That is all in the picture captured with the camera on an 8-bit recording system. The GoPro 9 and GoPro 10 offered that. The GoPro 11 now offers 10-bit. With the 8-bit, we got close to 16 million colors captured in your picture. With 10-bit, that multiplies exponentially. We are talking a little over 1 billion colors, guys. 10-bit color offers more dynamic range. It offers also that flexibility to save a lot of your highlights and shadows. With 10-bit color in a GoPro, that offers us the opportunity to have more consistent color grading throughout our video productions when you're using multiple cameras. Like for instance, a mirrorless camera like the Fujifilm or Sony, and then filming that with your GoPro, you are able to have consistent colors throughout your video production, which is that's nice. That's a very nice thing to have. The next feature I really liked in the GoPro Hero 11 are the assortment of night effects that they offer. Those night effect modes offer an array of fun, creative choices to use at night, such as awesome time-lapse star trails photography, as well as time-lapse for traffic and light trails in general. That is pretty awesome, and it definitely allows us users to just go ahead and use a GoPro and not have to set up a mirrorless camera to set up incredibly complicated long exposures and time lapses with our mirrorless cameras. So that's a nice feature to have, and it looks like a lot of fun. The other nice thing that I saw that GoPro is now doing is that they're now including, finally, their Enduro batteries. That should have been from the beginning. I don't know if I would really count this as a plus, but hey, it's nice to have. You guys have heard me in the past, I've ragged on my GoPros that they do fail in extreme temperatures, especially in the cold while snowboarding or snowmobiling. They only last so long, and having the Enduro batteries from the get-go is definitely a nice plus to have. Really nice to see a GoPro including that in their GoPros moving forward. Now, the things I didn't like about the GoPro Hero 11 Black, and they might be a little nitpicky. In terms of external microphones, we don't really seem to have that seamless compatibility. I have the DJI wireless mics, so it was nice if GoPro could have maybe accommodated external wireless functionality. I know they do offer adapters, but that setup gets a little messy. I tried it in the past with my GoPro Hero 8 and 9. I had an Ulanzi tripod grip with the cage rig and cold shoe mounts, and it gets a little bit messy. would have been nice to see if we could have had some sort of just a seamless system of incorporating external wireless mics like the Rode Wireless 2 and the DJI wireless mics. So that's just a little nitpicky. It's not really GoPro's fault, but it would have been nice for sure to see that sort of accommodation for creators. The other thing I didn't like about GoPro, and I'm sure everyone agrees, is their price point. GoPro continues to be one of the more expensive action cameras on the market, and the GoPro Hero 11 Black starts at $550. With the GoPro subscriber subscription, you can purchase the GoPro Hero 11 Black at a discount for $400. Yeah, it's a little pricey, and that's only really my nitpicks. I haven't been able to really test the camera myself. I would love to get my hands on it. And in the past, there have been overheating and reliability issues in terms of batteries with GoPro, but I'm sure with the Enduro battery, they have made the necessary improvements. So if this GoPro is reliable in that regards, and I can hit record and not have to worry about any sort of freezes, bugs, or just blown batteries, that's a huge plus to me as well. But again, that requires me to actually test this camera. So just wish we could have done something more about the pricing maybe. But hey, it is a hell of a camera. You get a bunch of awesome features in it, so it does maybe balance out that pricing. Now, on to the DJI Osmo Action 3. Let me tell you, I was so pleased to see that DJI went back to their roots on this one, and we got the DJI Osmo 1 design with the Osmo Action 3. What a triumphant return. I was a huge fan of the Osmo Action 1. You guys have heard me talk about it before in previous videos. Just awesome camera, had so much fun with it, super reliable. And just happy to see that DJI listened to all the complaints that we had for the Action 2. That's always nice to see a company listening to their consumers and building on that feedback. The first thing I really liked about the DJI Osmo Action 3 is that we get 4K Super View at 120 frames per second, and we get a field of view of up to 155 degrees. That is quite a super view. I know with the Osmo Action 1, the field of view was a little bit tighter and it didn't really make sense for action sports. Now with 155 degree super view, and we can get 120 frames per second slow-mo out of that, that's really nice to have. The next thing I really liked about the DJI Osmo Action 3 is their reliability in cold temperatures. DJI is making the promise that their new Osmo Action 3 cameras can handle up to, or rather down to, -20 Celsius or -4 Fahrenheit for us Americans who don't know the metric system. That is pretty wicked awesome. That's my number one gripe with GoPro, is that I was pretty furious that that thing died on me out in the snow. I mean, granted, it was like -10 Celsius out there, or -12 Celsius on snowmobiling in Yellowstone with that wind chill. I know it's a very extreme condition, but it would have been nice to have had that insurance in place, that, or rather the assurance that the camera wouldn't die on and I would be able to capture content. DJI is making that promise, and based on their disclaimers, the camera can handle continuous 150 minutes in those environments of -20 Celsius at 1080p 30 frames per second, which is, that's pretty decent. 150 minutes continuous. Some kudos to you, DJI. I absolutely love it. The other feature I really liked about the DJI Osmo Action 3 is the magnetic mounting ecosystem that they had. It was nice to see that they brought the one thing I actually did like from the Action 2 magnetic cube modular design, and that was the magnetic mounting that they had. That ecosystem to just be able to just pick out the camera itself and go ahead and put it on the other mount, whether it be a car mount, helmet mount, or chest mount. Just that seamless transition between magnetic clipping. That's a practical and very convenient ecosystem. Glad to see that they brought that over from the Action 2 and they've incorporated it with the Osmo Action 3. And the fact you can actually have the Osmo Action 3 set up on the magnetic, like say helmet mount, and then you want to capture vertical format for vertical content like TikTok or Instagram stories. All you have to do is pretty much release it and then boom, you're done. You're set up. You're ready to go. The great thing about that magnetic system too is that you don't have to worry about screwing or unscrewing the camera and then having it to fiddle around with the settings and flip it around. That's nice that the magnetic mounting system just is a seamless transition between the two. It's very convenient. I like that. Waterproofing. Don't get me wrong, the GoPro is pretty good at waterproofing and it can go to a certain amount of depth before requiring a housing. The GoPro Hero 11 does give you 33 feet of depth without a housing, and the Osmo Action 3 here, guys, 16 meters or 52 feet in depth without a housing. That's the crazy part. 52 feet without housing is insane. But if you're a diver, I'm sure you'd still want to get that diving cage for your action camera just to make sure nothing happens. And the other thing I liked about the DJI Osmo Action 3, and it's another another brownie point in the convenience department here. We get dual touch screens. We get our back screen to be able to frame our shot, which is a given, and it is to touch screen as well. The Osmo Action was one of the first action cameras to bring on that front-facing screen to help you frame your shots while you vlog yourself. And we get that again with the Osmo Action 3, where we do have the front-facing screen, but it's touchscreen, guys. This is, again, convenient. Very, very convenient to see that you can pretty much still use the front screen and choose your modes that you want to shoot in. Another luxury of the Osmo Action 3 is the ability to supercharge the action camera up to 80% in just under 18 minutes, and that's about 2 hours worth of recording time. Another feature that I really like about the DJI is the compatibility with their other accessories like the DJI wireless mic. Again, we get that external wireless mic adapter and the external wireless functionality that I discussed earlier that I think is very important. Not only do we want really great picture, we want awesome audio. I believe audio is probably one of the most important things we look for on YouTube. When you turn on a video and the audio is not great, chances are you're probably not gonna wanna watch that video. The ability to have these wireless mics plugged in to the Action 3 is a very nice luxury to have. Very nice to be able to deliver quality audio with quality imaging as well. So, food for thought, DJI Osmo Action 3 kind of beats the GoPro in that department, unless we start talking about the media mod, but now that means we're gonna spend more money, and that's not even a wireless microphone. That's just an added external microphone that's built in, that just amplifies the sound recording for the GoPro. And finally, pricing. I was pretty surprised that DJI came out with a super competitive price. I mean, right off the bat, you get a decent kit. Their starting price is $329, and this goes back to what I said in one of my previous videos too, that when the Osmo Action first came out, they were also competitively priced back then, and it was nice to see that you can buy a really good action camera at such a nice price point. You can also grab the Adventure Combo for $439, and that gives you a bunch of goodies. You get extra extreme batteries. You also get a super nice battery travel case that can store 3 of those batteries and charge them simultaneously, and other YouTubers have shown reviews that it can even serve as a bit of a power bank for your other devices, which is pretty cool. You also get a 1.5 meter selfie stick extension rod with the Adventure Combo, so that's not too shabby. $439, that's pretty much the price of the GoPro Hero 11, and you just get a basic case and battery with that. With the Adventure Combo, you get a slew of goodies. Not too shabby, DJI. And now the things I didn't like about the Osmo Action 3. I was a little disappointed that this action camera does not support 5K recording. I mean, you would think they would have made that jump to 5K, but it's also understandable that they give you so many great features up to 4K that they didn't really compromise with the 5K. So it kind of balances out in the end. I guess it has more to do with their processor and the sensor that they're using. It's forgivable because we do get consistently good 4K from what I've seen, and from previous experience with the Osmo Action, it was very reliable. I never had an issue with their 4K as well. So it looks like you get up to 120 frames per second, 4K, and that's more than enough, honestly. That's pretty good. I think I would rather have an action camera that gives you up to 4K, everything you need, and then you don't have any issues. You hit record and you're not gonna have any freezing, no glitching, no bugs, nothing. Versus having, okay, sometimes maybe 5K works, sometimes 4K works. Now you have to use 1080 because the battery is running out. It's kind of understandable, but still a little disappointing. The other thing I didn't like about the Osmo Action 3 is that we only get 12 megapixel photography out of this thing. I'm not sure what the megapixels might be pulling frames from your DJI Action footage, but 12 megapixel photography, I mean, granted, who's really taking photos with these action cameras? I mean, if you're an actual photographer, you're probably gonna use either your mobile phone, which is pretty decent nowadays, or a mirrorless camera if you're actually dedicated to your craft. So, I mean, I'm not justifying it though. I think 12 megapixels is a little bit meh. You could have gone 20 maybe, DJI. The fact that GoPro gives you 27 megapixel high-res photos, they killed you there, DJI. They absolutely murdered you in this department. At least with GoPro, you can get awesome photos out of even your videos, and you can use these photos for awesome thumbnails maybe, or your Instagram or social media, whatever. Just a little disappointing there for DJI. I also feel it was a kind of missed opportunity that DJI didn't come out with their own like creators bundle or creators edition kind of kit. GoPro offers a slew of assortments. Their ecosystem is vast, a little pricey, but vast. You get the media mods, the light mod, you have the max lens mod, and the new Volta battery grip tripod too is a nice accessory to have for GoPro. Kind of a missed opportunity here for DJI. I just don't understand why they didn't come out with their own sort of like creator edition sort of grip with a tripod. I mean, I'm sure Ulanzi's gonna develop something like that eventually for the Osmo Action 3. Just a little disappointing in that regard. The accessories for DJI are a little lacking. Don't get me wrong, they have like one or two innovative accessories like that travel charging battery kit. Very nice. Big fan of that. Now, it is worth noting that at the time of recording this video, DJI does not have 10-bit recording for the Osmo Action 3. However, I did get confirmation with DJI support, and we are getting 10-bit footage via firmware update for the Osmo Action 3, and they quote ASAP. I would imagine we'd probably get it by October. This isn't the first time DJI has done something like this before. They have delivered 10-bit capabilities via firmware with their latest DJI Mini 3 Pro drone, not even a month ago, I believe. Glad to see that DJI is trying to catch up to GoPro in that regard and offer us that 10-bit recording, which is great to see because now we'll get even more flexibility with our colors and dynamic range and better color grading opportunity as well for DJI. I do like DJI's colors a little bit more. They seem a little bit more natural and not like super overly saturated and sharp, much like GoPro footage tends to be. The other thing I'm very much looking forward to for DJI is that they're rolling out InvisiStick feature, which seems to be a feature that actually erases your selfie stick from your footage when you're skiing or snowboarding. That is a mind-blowing feature to have. Confirmed by DJI, this is a Mimo app feature that once they have that rolled out via firmware as well, we'll be getting that access, and it's only for skiing and snowboarding, unfortunately. You can't do that for skating, which is a bit of a bummer. The fact that I can now get more selfie stick shots with this action camera and then in post with the DJI Mimo app erase that selfie stick out of frame, much like 360 cameras do nowadays with their stitching. I would love to test it out once it's rolled out and they've cleaned up and polished up that firmware update. I'm hoping my skiing season I get a shot at trying that InvisiStick feature. It looks rad as hell, and I hope this feature is something that I can pull my footage back out and put it in Adobe Premiere, so we'll see. DJI has already teased us with a couple shots of snowboarders using this feature, and it looks pretty awesome. So can't wait to see what that looks like when that firmware does drop. I have to admit, once the DJI does get that 10-bit update, I might swing towards DJI again. I'm not sure. I'm just saying that price point is very tempting, and the reliability of Osmo Action. But with GoPro, you got a slew of accessories. If you're already invested in GoPro and their ecosystem, it does make sense to maybe make that jump if you're on an older GoPro. It is pricey. With GoPro, you get uncompromising image quality. The ability to get that open gate functionality is very nice to have at 5.3K and 4K. So that definitely opens the door for a lot of content creators to just seamlessly crop their footage between two different platforms. It kind of makes sense then if you're jumping from maybe the 8 and 9 like myself to maybe jump to the GoPro Hero 11. And that 10-bit color recording functionality is a very nice thing to have, especially if your video productions entail so many different cameras. You get exquisite image quality with GoPro. The specs are pretty phenomenal, and it's just, I think it beats DJI in that regard. The specs and the image quality I give GoPro the edge in that department. And then the wide variety of fun modes to shoot in with their time lapse and their new night effects for GoPro kind of have the DJI Osmo Action beat in that department as well. Now, if you're on a budget and you don't have an action camera, I think the DJI Osmo Action makes a lot of sense for a lot of people. I think that magnetic ecosystem, like I discussed earlier, is a fun thing to have. It's very convenient. Based on the features that I listed, the DJI Osmo Action I feel beats the GoPro in a lot of the reliability factor and the convenience for the end user. I think those are nice things to have. That to me, then it makes sense to go DJI. If you want to just be able to hit record, not have to worry about any issues, and have the peace of mind that you know your camera is going to work and you know you're getting footage, DJI makes sense. GoPro has had a long history of reliability issues, bugs, freezes, etc. that they have to patch. I think the InvisiStick feature makes sense if you're an avid skier or snowboarder and you want to have that ability to kind of crop out the selfie stick. I think that's a fun feature to have, not having to worry about the extreme cold environment when you do ski or snowboard, that the Osmo Action will handle like a champ. I think we've touched base on a lot of good valid points for both cameras. None of them are perfect, like any camera. There's no such thing as a perfect camera. I'm thinking about maybe I'll sell off my GoPro 9, use those funds to get the Hero 11 to sort of get that upgrade. But then I start thinking, I really like the convenience and reliability factors of the Action 3 and what they offer, and that InvisiStick feature is very tempting. And the fact I can use my wireless DJI mics too with the Osmo Action 3 is a huge plus in terms of video production quality. So I'm gonna have to sleep on it and continue to meditate upon this. But I do also have an assortment of GoPro accessories that I am invested in already. I do love GoPro's quality overall. I think that open gate functionality is a lot of fun in the 10-bit color right off the bat. It's very nice. I hope this video was somewhat informative for you guys. Let me know down in the comments if there's something I missed or if there's another feature that you're excited about that I didn't talk about between the two cameras. I think they're both stellar cameras in this day and age. You can't go wrong with either of them, to be honest. Let me know down in the comments, guys, which action camera are you guys getting this season. Until next time, I'm Xander, and I'll catch you all on the wild side.